Hey there, folks. Mark Lewis here, back for another edition of Warehousing Wednesdays. And today we're going to talk about something that's come up literally almost every day the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I've had it asked in a bunch of different directions, a bunch of different ways of thinking about it. But generally the question is, listen, I'm on an on-premise WMS. What do I do? I'm end of life. I've got to move. Do I move to the cloud, et cetera, et cetera? And this is the number one topic in WMS right now, if you're not already on the cloud. And so I thought what I'll do is I'll put everything on one slide. Now, not absolutely all the information, but all of the major topic points around moving to the cloud on WMS. Should you do it? Should you not? What should you think about, et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, let's have a quick conversation on it. First off, why? What are the benefits of it? Why should you do it? You're on an on-prem system. By definition, it's probably an older on-prem system, and it's probably customized a lot of times. So the biggest benefit that you're going to get moving to the cloud is flexibility and scalability. The horsepower, the box you need, how much computer you need to run that's all controlled by the provider. You won't have to mess with that anymore. And scalability, as you roll out multiple sites, if that's something that matters to you, you may have to sign for more license, but you won't ever have to worry about the box or / the hardware being able to keep up with it. That's their job. Takes a lot of load off you, and that's just at a fundamental IT structure level. Cost efficiency. Without getting into too much detail, because I'm going to go on to key factors, and you're going to want to really have, take a deep look at that. But I'll say it this way: I think we've proven now that cloud software over time is a much more efficient way to manage how you run corporate software. I think we've proven that in general, cloud is a better solution than trying to do it long term. Remote accessibility, I mean, this is just a given. I don't think it's as big a deal as it used to be, but it is kind of neat that no matter where you are in the world, if you're a manager, a user, you're anyone, anywhere, I need to get online, get into the warehouse, see what's going on. That's just part and parcel. And in the old days, quote unquote, on on-prem systems, that was much more difficult. So it's just better, right? This faster implementation and rollouts, I like it. We're turning on cloud software here at Redwood, both for ourselves when we pull in a new customer or new facility, and for our external clients in timelines that there's absolutely no way we could have done on an old system, particularly a system with customizations. We actually, for a client not long ago, had to split off a division because they had sold the division, and we had that completely done in like 4 weeks. An entire new, not just a new facility setup, but a new corporate structure and company setup and running it for them. That just could not have happened without the templates and the structured processes that are available in cloud software systems. Logistics collaboration, maybe a minor point, but as I said, we run it for ours. And when you want to talk to other logistics providers in the ecosystem, carriers, things like that, and or you want to talk to maybe some material handling equipment, because the price of that has come down a lot. Going back to the cost and efficiency, this reduced IT burden. Now, this is not specifically on staffing levels, but when you need to maintain a really old custom system, it takes people, and it takes a lot of people in some cases. And what happens is you either are or have gotten stuck on an older version because the customizations you put in place, you just can't go anywhere and you've reached a dead end. That simply won't happen with cloud software, and the updates happen almost without you having to do anything. Now, is it 100% without you having to do anything? No, it's not. But as a person who now works for a company that uses cloud WMS and has worked in the past for people that sell cloud WMS, it really is true that it's a weekend operation. Stop on Friday, everything gets updated, a few checks, and you go on down the road. It works. It does. And I think it's going to be amazing what cloud software, particularly cloud WMS software, is going to look like in 3, 4, 5, 10 years, because it's still relatively new in the grand scheme of things. And I think you're going to see so much more advanced configurability, I'll put it that way. Still not any true customization to the core, because that would kill your upgrades and fixes, etc. But a lot more ability to integrate maybe external custom processes into that core. Those are the benefits, and those are the ones you hear everybody talk about. All right, real quickly on the other side of the coin, on key factors. Obviously, first and foremost, cost. I mentioned it. On the other side, it's cost efficient. I do think it's a fair statement that the cloud has proven itself out, but you're going to want to do a detailed long-term TCO on this move. But do a good job on that, because too often I do not see people, when they want to do ROI, they aren't thinking about some of these things about reduced IT burden and the fact that you're going to look up in 5 years and still be on the most current system, et cetera, et cetera. Your cost over time for a cloud system really goes down. So you're going to want to think about a long-term detailed TCO analysis. The most critical one, though, is the second one, and I probably should have flipped them on this slide. Your business goals and requirements, just bluntly, because it is templatized, and it is something that you cannot customize right now. Will it do what you want? Will it fulfill your needs? The answer is probably yes, but there may be some very specific configurations, customizations, extensions that you just can't figure out how to do. In that case, you're going to need to talk about it. Is it something that, well, this new solution has another way of getting to the same answer, considering the strategy over that specific customization you did 10 years ago that may not apply anymore? Step back away from that ownership of those customizations and say, can I do my process? Because again, the long-term strategy is probably going to be in favor, but if you cannot, you're going to have to figure out a way to handle it. You're going to have to talk to maybe the software provider to see if that's coming in a future release, or if there's a way for you to work around it. We actually still have to do some workarounds even in our current implementation right now, but we do them within the mobile layer. Therefore, we're not touching the back-end WMS. So there's ways around it, and it can be done. So you're really going to want to spend some time on that. The other three, not as big a deal, but I want to put them on there. Integration. Right now, let's say you're on an old WMS system, on a monolithic ERP, etc. It's all built in. When you go to cloud, that's not going to be the same system anymore. Even if it's the same provider, it will be in the cloud. Now you've got an on-prem system needing to talk to a cloud, etc. Can you utilize the existing ERP layer integration? I know that all the major ERP providers, even in their old on-prem systems, do have an ERP layer, but a lot of times it needed maybe customization or extension to make work. I personally don't think you're going to want to spend a lot of time utilizing that old ERP layer and working backwards. Now, if you're already on the cloud on an ERP, no brainer. Almost all the time you're going to hook this up. You probably use the ERP layer. But if you don't, and you need to look backwards at an on-prem, what I have seen, not just with Redwood where I am now, but previously at other employers and companies, what we found was the transition to cloud ERP may take 2, 3, 4, even 5 years. It is often advisable to invest in a platform middleware. There's multiples out there. We have one, but Boomi, there's others out there. And use that as part of your transition to the cloud to get all those together. And then once you're already all in the cloud, if it makes sense, you can get rid of that. That's a great thing about cloud software. You let the License run out, you're going to move everything to the ERP layer that's in the cloud, and life is good. But for that transition, you may want to consider platform middleware. So it's something to think about, and there's a cost to that. This internet availability at warehouse sites used to be huge. And I almost didn't put it on here because I just thought it just didn't happen anymore. There weren't sites where you couldn't get to the internet. But literally last month, talking to a prospect, and they have a couple of warehouse sites, and they just don't have good internet. And they're like, I don't know if I trust running a cloud WMS on this site. Now, those were fairly low volume sites, and we had a much longer conversation on that. But you are going to have good, solid internet availability at all of your warehouses. Most of the time, I would say 98, 99% of the time, that's a given nowadays. And then security. I hear this brought up a lot that, well, it's all my software, and it's on my box, and I have 18 layers of security, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Internet security is not my deep bailiwick, and I'm not going to try to use acronyms that make sense. I will say this. It's not an issue. It's just simply not. Every major software provider out there has security layers in place for their cloud software. So, lastly, the single thing that I get asked is, should I do WMS first or should I wait until my ERP? Well, the answer is what makes the most sense for your organization. I know that's a cop-out, but it is true. But if you're sitting there on-prem and you've been locked into this system for 10, 15 years, and you are having problems getting things out the door, or you can't upgrade, you need a WMS, there is absolutely no reason you can't do that before ERP. There's just not. I mean, we can integrate, as we talked about earlier, it's done. There's no reason for it. And that may get you the new features and functionality and ROI and cost reduction that you're looking for right now in very near real time, just a few months, versus something waiting for 2, 3, 4, 5 years until your ERP is fully built out and then turn on the WMS. So I'm willing to have that conversation, but I will say this in closing. There is no technical reason, there are no constraining factors from rolling out your WMS to the cloud ahead of your ERP. And in fact, many times, if this is part of an ERP consolidation exercise, getting that WMS rolled out to the cloud ahead of time and then letting it talk to your various ERPs as you consolidate is actually the optimal choice. So, but it's something that we're going to have to talk about and see what makes the most sense for your organization. This has been it for this edition of Warehousing Wednesdays. I'll talk to you all next week. Thanks a lot. Have a great one.